Hey everybody, this is Trevor and welcome to my channel Pioneer Spirit. I thank and appreciate everyone who likes, comments, subscribes, and just supports the channel in every mode that you have. So thank you very much, greatly appreciated. Okay, so that being said, today's topic I want to talk about government, voters, politicians, and the social contract. And what role do they play? What role have they played? And what role should they play going on into the future here? I think all of these things need to be re-examined. They don't function in the way that we want them to. So I will go over each section. Government is really what it is. It's an entity, and it exists because of voters, politicians, and the social contract. Maybe that's a little simplistic, but I want to examine definitely how can we make government better. I mean, because we sit here and everyone's like, they complain about government, but really what can we do to make it better? Now, I'm not going to profess to have all the answers. I want to have more questions. I think we need to question everything. If something isn't working, okay, you have a problem. I write things down. I have books filled with problems, and I like to write things down. I think we need to start as people. We need to start writing down more of our problems. Why is our life the way it is? Well, I think a lot of it does come down to, government and how it functions in our life. And I would definitely say that government does not function well in our lives in this era that we're in, 2023, October. But has it ever really functioned? Has it ever really functioned? And I do have a bit of a solution to these things. And I do talk about voluntary ways of interacting with one another, whether it be in terms of friendships, loving relationships, work relationships, how we deal in the exchange of goods and services. I do think that the role of voluntary ways of doing that is a more peaceful way and a more prosperous way. It's a more free way, which creates prosperity because government, I mean, really government is it's plain and simple. It is an organization, an entity that operates on the use of violence. Let me say that again. Government is an entity that operates on the use of violence. How so? People are asking. Well, point in being, take a local business that you go to, whether it's small, medium, large. If you decide, I don't like the way that business is run, or I can find my goods and services somewhere else, and you don't go to that business, and that business notice, hey, so-and-so hasn't been here for 3 months. We better go knock on their door and say, hey, you haven't paid us in 3 months for our goods and services. Obviously that would never happen. And if it did happen, you would just say, well, I found this other business to be better for me. Okay. But that doesn't happen. Walmart doesn't come knocking on your door. Your local butcher, your local hairdresser, they don't come knocking on your door if you don't spend your money with them. So to explain the how government operates on the use of violence is, if you don't do business with the government, okay, for 3 months or 5 months or whatever, they will send you letters and they will threaten you with violence. Now, how is that well, the violence, I mean, it's it could be financial ruin, jail time. That's usually how they get you. If you don't pay up to them. So, I would like to see the system of government run if it could be run in a voluntary way. I don't know if it can. I don't. The very essence of government has to run on the use of force. Okay, I don't think the way it operates can ever be voluntary, but perhaps it could be at least reformed. Okay, so this is what I think, and obviously, if if you think differently, add your comments below. You know, if you want to add or build on to what I'm saying, or say, no, Trevor, this is why it can't be done, just please comment. Okay, I am here to learn. I am a person who believes in freedom of speech. Okay, so it's very paramount to a civilized society. Okay. Okay, so I want to talk about voters, politicians, and the social contract. Okay, I don't really know which one to start with first, but anyway, okay, I'll just start with voters. I think out of those four sections, government, voters, politicians, and the social contract, I do believe that the reform in the way we vote can be done. It can be done. We can reform that because of the way government is structured. I don't know if we could ever have it be voluntary or scrap it for a new kind of entity or organization, but we could make it so that perhaps it's a better way of getting in more quality people in the role of politicians. So, okay, so politicians, I'm just going to say they should be like the pilots and co-pilots on a plane. Okay, I'm going to go back to voters in a second here, but politicians, just remember this, should be like your pilots and your co-pilots on a plane. So when it comes to voting, I don't think that just because you are born in a country, you're a citizen, that automatically grants you the privilege to vote. Okay? Now this idea I'm going to share could hurt me, because perhaps the test I take, they would say, Trevor, you didn't pass. Okay, fair enough. Okay, that's fair enough. I do think that voting needs to be reformed to such a way that, first of all, you do have to be a citizen. Okay, you have to prove, yes, I am a citizen of whatever country. Okay, once you have established that, they say, okay, you can come in and you take a test. And the test would have, could be, I don't know, I've kind of thought about maybe 3, 4, 5 sections. You're going to have a section on economics, energy policies, foreign and internal affairs, just different things like that. Okay, some important issues. Maybe five, half a dozen sections. Okay, that are very that are paramount to a civilized society that's going to be based on social contracts, politicians, and the government as the entity that structures that together. That's the web. So, and the way I've looked at voting is, hey, let's say we have 5 sections. I don't know, just try to keep it as simple as possible, but in a way that it has to be structured. So I would say, let's say 5 sections. You have to have 75% or better on each section. And if you get below 75 on even 1 out of 5 sections, you are now disqualified for voting. Okay? I know a lot of people are jumping through the screen right now going, you SOB, that's not how it's done, and that's not how it should be done. You were born I'm born a U.S. citizen, I'm born a Canadian, or wherever you're born, that gives me the right. Well, no, it shouldn't give you the right. Because now I'm going to go back to my analogy of politicians should be like the pilots and co-pilots and captains of the ship. Okay. When we get on a plane, we expect that the pilot and co-pilots are trained to fly us from point A to point B as comfortably and safely as possible. And should some turbulence, a storm of some kind come in to play, we expect now that that pilot and co-pilot are going to step up and prove to us why they are in command of 300 people behind them in a plane. Okay? And we expect them to get through that. Now, can they 100% of the time? No. But I would say that the amount of flights that happen around this world 24/7, 365, the amount of planes that crash and the amount of planes that make it from point A to point B, it's so slim, the amount of plane crashes, okay? So why can't we, because if you're a pilot or co-pilot, you have to go through testing. You have to prove that you can fly 300 people or 200 or how many ever people are on your plane. You have to prove that you can do it. Because not everybody, I'm not going to go up to the pilot and co-pilot and say, what kind of testing did you have? Are you competent and all this? No, I'm assuming they've gone through the testing. So I think that voters should go through some kind of testing. Okay, so that we have the quality voters, people that obviously can pass whatever sections, obviously they have some kind of economics, energy policies and whatnot. They have to be able to pass this so that the quality politicians we would get from people who passed these tests, the quality of politician is going to rise immensely, okay? Because currently, and probably back 2,000 years, back to the days of Socrates. Socrates talked about this. What is the role of voters in the society? Well, I think if voters are held to a standard of testing, you're going to get people who will vote. They'll look at the list of people who are claiming to want to be our leaders, and they're going to say, no, not this guy. Like, a perfect example. I currently live in the country commonly known as Canada. And for 8 years, almost 9 years, we have been led by a man, a person, I suppose, if that's what he would prefer to be known as, Justin Trudeau. And he is not a man of quality, of intelligence, of integrity. He's a liar, a narcissistic liar. He has admitted that his abilities in economics are lacking. And he's even claimed that the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, well, they're really good in their economic. They can turn their economy around on a dime. If he had any sense of intelligence, he would know that the Chinese communism turns around their economy on a dime because they got the business end of a rifle pointed at your head. You tend to do what you're told. Okay, so he doesn't have economic sense. His energy policies, I mean, for goodness sake, it shouldn't take like a nuclear physicist to tell you that, come on, if you want to get people out of poverty, well, you have to provide them with energy. Okay? Let's, for example, just my way. I'm Prime Minister of Canada now. I'm going to say, can we ramp up nuclear power plants? Okay, let's provide our commercial and residential buildings with clean and as cheap energy as possible. Let's do it through nuclear. Okay, and these EV cars, the technology, even with Tesla, and it's not there competently. Okay, I'd say, hey guys, keep trying to roll out your ideas and your technology, but in the meantime, we're still gonna have. I would like to have the clean, efficient diesel run engines in vehicles. Okay, because that way too, your truckers. Let's say we got to keep these energy prices down because it costs a lot. And you go to the grocery stores now. Okay, everyone knows that. Well, let's make it a little cheaper by making sure that the truck drivers can fill up their trucks and be happy at once they've filled up their trucks. Okay, and they don't have to spend thousands of dollars on fuel per month, or at least got to get those prices down. So I think that, and even politicians, this is kind of just an idea that just kind of sparked in my head. I think that voters should take some kind of test to prove that you are of a quality person, okay? Because just because you're born in a country doesn't mean that you should automatically have the right to vote. Okay, voting should be done because, again, we don't just you don't just vote to have whoever fly the plane. That person has to pass tests. Well, that's kind of like, I look at that as like the voting. You want the quality people that are going to be voting for politicians to run over our lives, and we want these politicians to be of the best quality possible. I think everyone could agree with that. Well, maybe not everybody, but that's fine. That's just the way I see it. We should have voting in a. You should have to pass some kind of testing. Now, politicians, this just kind of came to me too. Perhaps the people that are running for office, just because they're billionaires, or they were former lawyers, or CEOs of companies, that shouldn't automatically make them the put in positions of, well, these are the 5 people we have to vote for. Perhaps the voters should have even a larger role in even trying to select from a group of people that should be voting, and from voting too, but for who should be leaders of our country. Okay, I don't know. These are just, again, I'm just spitballing ideas. I love doing this. I love talking about ideas. So again, please comment below. Comment below. You got something to add on here. Please add, because we need to, we can't have Justin Trudeau's of the world running us anymore. Okay. Which gets me to the social contract. I am going to say I am not a fan of the social contract. I am and I'm not. Because I like the works of Lysander Spooner, who famously said, look, the Constitution either gives us the government that we have or was powerless to stop the government we have, okay? So, that's an eye-opening comment. It's like, wow, okay, so what is the worth and value of the social contract? Good questions. Good question. I think, I don't know. I think if we're going to have a social contract, I think the United States Constitution was wrote up by stone cold geniuses, and it's not perfect, but as where social contracts go, they were intelligent enough to know that, look, the most important thing, the cornerstone of a free society, is the freedom of speech. That's the First Amendment, okay? They were intelligent enough to know that. I think anyone with at least a 90 or higher IQ would agree with that. That is the cornerstone. They even put it above the right to bear arms. But the right to bear arms gels with that First Amendment so well, okay? Because you now have the right to self-preservation, and you have the ability to protect what you say. But what we say it can't be absolute. There's consequences. If you're advocating for violence, a crime against humanity, you have to be dealt with. But there are ideas that, whether, they should be discussed in a society. And bad ideas are put down in a free society when freedom of speech is there. And when you have the right to bear arms to back that up, those two things are a cornerstone of a free and civilized and prospering society. Okay, these guys knew that. Okay, they were, and it's a beautiful contract. So if we're going to have a social contract, I think something like the United States Constitution is what we should have. But can it be voluntarily upheld? Can we adhere to it voluntarily? See, now I start to think of the ideas. Should people in the role of politicians, should we have them voluntarily maintain that without any kind of pay or anything? And we could voluntarily pay the people who uphold this Constitution. This is the law of the land, okay? Nothing more, not 100,000 laws, most of which are arbitrary laws. Because again, government laws, I think, are nothing more than opinions backed up with guns. So let's just try to keep it simple, right? It's the KISS theory, keep it simple, stupid. Let's have the United States Constitution. Let's have it voluntarily upheld by people called politicians. Perhaps if it can be. I don't know how we voluntarily uphold those things, but, again, that's just who I am. I'm a man with questions. I'm a man with questions and few answers, and that's okay. Because as Socrates said, I know that I know nothing. I know that I know nothing, but I do know that I'm a human being like everybody else here with the freedom of speech to come out with ideas, because I want to live in a peaceful society. I want to live in a society where we have freedom to create, because I believe freedom creates prosperity. Okay. But, okay, so to get back onto the social contract, as we found out in Canada, we have something called the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, okay, which was helped. It was it was drafted in help with Pierre Trudeau. Okay, that's, if you don't know, that's Justin Trudeau's father. Okay, he ran the country from 1968 to 1984, and then Brian Mulroney came in. There's just one exception, 1 year, 79 to 80, where Pierre Trudeau wasn't in control of Canada. So here you go. Now Justin Trudeau, and we had an emergency hit here. Obviously, I don't know where you've been living if you don't know the term Mr. 19, what that is. That contract that we had, that social contract that we had as Canadians, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, was basically null and void during Mr. 19. Okay? And that's the time that people need the social contract. We need these social contracts in times of emergency. But if government, the politicians, are going to just prove to its citizens that during emergencies we're going to suspend your social contract, what stops a politician from creating an emergency or deeming whatever an emergency? Okay? And to even put into more perspective, the only two prime ministers of Canada to bring in martial law were Pierre Trudeau and Justin Trudeau. Okay? The Trudeau family has been in control of Canada for 23 of the last 54 years. Okay, that's a huge chunk to have one family running a country. And I don't think they're worth their salt, especially Justin Trudeau. But Pierre Trudeau, I talk to, people who are 80 years old and ask about him, and, they don't have much good to say about him either, the Pierre Trudeau. And obviously I've had to live through almost 9 years of Justin Trudeau, and he is not qualified to fly the plane. Justin Trudeau is not qualified to fly the plane. The plane is Canada. The people in it are Canadians, and he's not qualified. So that's why I come back to the idea that we need to have a criteria, a test done for voters to show I am a Canadian citizen. Fine, come in this room, you take a test, you got to pass it at a certain level. And I mean, it has to be at least 75%, I think. Okay? You have to prove that you can pass it. If you don't, then you don't get to vote. Because I don't want just anyone to vote. That this is an important job. The president, the prime minister of your country, anyone, any politician, the mayor of your town, okay? You're on the council for your municipality, your county. These are important roles. And you shouldn't be able to just vote. You shouldn't be able to vote for anybody in any, whether it's local, regional, or a federal election. I go as far as to say, I don't know exactly in the United States, you can vote in your sheriff, the sheriff of your town. You can vote for them. I want the best quality person voting for that sheriff. Same with Canada. The chiefs of police here in Canada are not voted in. They should be voted in, again, by people who are competent. I want people to vote in people who are going to fly the plane in a competent way. And I don't know if we've ever had that on planet Earth, but we need to, and I would think most people would agree, government, the way its role is today in the 21st century, 2023, it needs to be revamped. And we need to revamp that peacefully. Because otherwise, you know what happens when systems and tyrants don't relinquish their power. They're taken out, and that's not peaceful. What is peaceful is saying voting. You're a citizen, great. Take the test. You passed it, great. You're we think you're competent and you can pass that. Now people might say, well, who's going to come up with a test? Well, have people like Jordan Peterson, for goodness sake. The man has an IQ of 151. Have him involved in writing these tests. Okay, have people of that quality writing these tests. There has to be some measure of quality for voters and politicians. Because again, you don't want just anyone flying your plane. I can't imagine anybody going, well, I guess he's okay or she's okay. No, you want the best of the best. You want the best of the best flying your plane. And again, you can look at a plane like it's your country and you're the people in there. You want the best people leading you, flying you to wherever your destination, okay? I guarantee you the people like Justin Trudeau of the world cannot continue to rule over us. They cannot continue. We cannot continue. We need people of stoicism, of intelligence, an IQ. Perhaps to be a politician, to even get into the running of a politician, perhaps someone should have an IQ of at least, 120. A good, solid IQ. Perhaps IQ should play a role in if you're able to vote or not. Just because you're a citizen should not grant you the right to rule over my life because you're a person that isn't informed on the issues. You don't understand anything, but this girl seems really pretty or slick. They're good looking. They know how to talk. They're charismatic. Okay. Just because you think that they're that kind of person that should lead over me, maybe that's not the person that should lead over me. Like, if we're going to have institutions like government, social contracts, voting, and politicians, we need to revamp the system. That's just the way I see it. I would like to infuse more voluntary ways that we relate to one another. Perhaps that could be infused into those four subjects that I've talked about: government, voters, politicians, and social contract. So that's just where I'm at on it. And I want to hear what you think. Am I batshit crazy? Are you out there struggling like I am, going, we cannot have the Justin Trudeau's of the world ruling over us anymore. Well, if you think that, and a lot of people, you ask Canadians, do you think Justin Trudeau should be ruled? No, he should be out. That's why I come up with, okay, we're just going to continue voting in people like that. So we need to revamp the system of, who can vote? Who should be able to be a politician? Okay, if we're going to have a social contract, I think the United States Constitution definitely was written by stone cold geniuses, definitely because of the First and Second Amendment, right there alone. Okay, can a social contract be upheld voluntarily by people voluntarily doing it? And maybe you voluntarily send them $5 a month. Okay? I think that would help the system a hell of a lot better. Because, man, the way we're going now, and Mr. 19 showed us that, especially here in Canada, that the social contract means nothing. Nothing but a napkin to wipe the grease off of a politician's face. So we need to have, again, I think just with having voters be able to pass a test, I think that would truly help in getting better quality politicians into our lives. So I'm going to wrap up the show there. I see I'm just over 30 minutes right now. Again, I appreciate everyone who comes to my channel, Pioneer Spirit. There's, I think a reinvigoration of that Pioneer Spirit needs to be injected like the Mr. 19 was worldwide, okay? Because I believe a Pioneer Spirit. I believe on the, freedom creates prosperity, and the pioneers of this world know that. A good pioneer of this world knows that the spirit of freedom creates prosperity. So that's why I named my channel the way it is. Freedom creates prosperity, Pioneer Spirit. I appreciate everyone who comes here and watches my show, comments and likes. You're all greatly appreciated, and I love you all. Mwah! Stay free, everyone.